Hey Doug, probably when Trevor was in high school in Clemson, he probably didn't get criticized a whole heck of a lot. And now that, and every NFL quarterback goes through this, what he's going through, no matter who. Brady goes through. So, any particular advice, or are you confident he kind of just internalizes everything and keeps that external stuff out?
Yeah, as you said, every quarterback, every NFL quarterback, head coach is going to go through adversity, scrutiny. Everything's under a microscope, and it's just a matter of if you want it to go away, you start working on it, and you work on it to go away, and that's something that I can help him with. I know the staff can help him with, and try to put most of this behind him, and that's one thing, and I've said this before with Trevor too, is he does a nice job of sort of compartmentalizing things and kind of keeping things on the back burner and just focusing on his job and improving just this week and getting better. So that's what we expect. That's what I expect, and I know he'll do that.
Discussion did you have?
Was there a particular thing that somebody ever wrote or said about you when you were playing that still sticks out?
I mean, there's a couple things. I'll probably do it off the record with you, yeah. See, yeah.
Doug, how much did you learn?
Did you have with Trent Baalke?
With Carson, dealing with Carson in Philadelphia, that then when you took a year off, you came back in terms of dealing with the young quarterback, the good cop, the bad cop, how you approach managing that quarterback. What did you learn from your experience with Carson that you are now applying to dealing with Trevor?
I think number one, you got to be honest, with the player, and that's good and bad, right? And you're up front with them, and you got to have constructive dialogue, with him and with all your players and your team, and I never want to be someone that wants to kind of sugarcoat anything. I think we have to be honest that way, even in my performance as well, and in taking that, I think from what I learned in Philly during that time is just doing that, being open and honest, and really sometimes you got to have tough conversations with players, and whether it's the quarterback or not, and we're going to work through everything together, and that's what we do, and we dig ourselves out of whatever we're in, and continue to improve.
How much of it is maybe the tough love from one entity, whether that's the coaching staff or teammates, and then maybe a little bit softer approach from another, or is it just organically whatever it is?
I think it's organic. Things too, you're dealing with your quarterback, and you want to be as positive as you can too, and you want to make sure that he's in the right frame of mind, as he attacks each week, and you never want to put too much on him, but at the same time, we also understand that we're in a business that's performance based too, and that goes for me, and we got to make sure that we're all doing what's best each week to try to win a game.
How much discussion, if any, did you have with Trent prior to pulling the trigger on the Calvin Ridley trade, and what are your thoughts about it?
I mean, Trent and I talk a lot about a lot of different situations, and we obviously talked about this one, and listen, you guys have heard us talk about this before. We're going to always look to add talent to this roster, any way possible, any shape, form, and I feel like we've done that. Now, obviously, we won't know what we have until the league clears him and all of that, and we understand that. But at the same time, we feel like we're getting a really good football player to already adding to a good room, and great leaders in that room that will embrace him when he finally gets here.
Do you feel that the risk was reasonable?
Yes.
Have you had a chance to talk to Calvin and what?
I can't. We can't right now. Just gotta be off limits right now until he gets reinstated by the league.
In recent history, we've seen some teams make that trade for a young wide receiver. Josh Allen got Stephon Diggs. Tua got Tyreek Hill recently. Do you think Calvin Ridley can be that kind of receiver that helps Trevor Lawrence take that big jump?
I think he adds to the guys we have. I mean, I think we just made that room stronger, quite honestly, and we just it's we're speculating, obviously. a year from now or whatever. But we're excited to have the player when we do get him and welcome him, in here when we get a chance to do that.
Would you have preferred some help for this year?
No, I mean, we look at that. I mean, that's something that Trent and I we take a look at, and we're constantly. You see it now with some of the moves we've made, just with either a practice squad guy or adding guys to the 53, whatever it might be. But you're always going to look, and I think entertain every phone call that comes your way. But we're very pleased and happy with where we are and who we have and the guys we have now, and we just got to continue to build upon that and keep working and get it turned.
How tough will it be to wait? Normally you would have sent the kid, play with last night. You know what I mean? To kind of get
well,
a steer for what he thinks, how he
Yeah,
is.
yeah. I mean, it's pretty easy because we got 9 games left, and we're still focused on this week and getting prepared for this week, and obviously we'll cross that bridge when the time comes.
When you're, go ahead, you want to finish? Oh, how daunting is it to play, not daunting is not the right word, but when the team hasn't scored the previous week, you worry about that firing them up and being, maybe a motivating factor?
Were you in Indy
I
the
was.
second time?
I was.
I mean, that proves the point.
No,
I mean,
watched it.
we had a game just like that this season where we held a team to 0, and then next thing you know, they're over 30 points the next time we play them. So each week's different, and each game plan is different, and the set of circumstances are different, and you put the past in the past, and you focus on the current. So I would expect a different Raider team this weekend.
You've done that where you stay out west, I think, before. They're staying out east. Can that be taxing on a team, or can it be refreshing? Can it do a little bit of both?
I mean, maybe both. I think it's more the bonding. I think it's more of the coming together, the closeness of the team, being around each other. I've done that, gone west and stayed on the West Coast, and it's helped teams. It's helped the teams I've been a part of do that, and again, I think it's obviously it's the team or the coach's discretion on what they do, but I think it can be a little both.
Are you disappointed in Josh Allen's production? Does he need to give you more in terms of finishing sacks, that kind of stuff?
I think Josh is a really good player. Josh is a good leader. Josh is valuable to this football team, and he knows that there's times where he needs to play better, and that could be the case for a few guys, but that's all part of the longevity of a season, and it's the grind of the season and being at your peak every single Sunday, and coaches and players, you just can't take plays off, you can't take days off, you can't rest. I mean, you just got to keep pushing, and he knows that, he understands that, and expect great things from him.
With Shaq out, is Tyson trailing the #1 wide receiver for the opposition? I think
He
it was
did a little bit,
Yeah.
Sunday. That's something that we'll continue to explore as we go, and obviously the Raiders have a pretty good receiver over there, and without giving away game plans and stuff, but we'll see how the week goes.
With, speaking of Devontae, apparently he was hit with this illness that they have, running through their organization. I know Josh McDaniel said there's only 5 or 6 guys that haven't gotten whatever this bug is. As a coach, how do you manage that?
You just you pump them full of meds, and you get them as far away from the team as you can, and hope they get better, in the next couple of days. And that's just part of life. Guys are going to get sick and ill, or coaches are going to come down ill, and they got to make sure they stay hydrated to get their rest and get the meds they need to be back either the next day or the next day after that.
When you watched the tape from their loss last week, did it look like Devontae, maybe a couple of other guys, did it look like they were lethargic, or did it look like the Saints just had a sound game plan?
I mean, the Saints played well. Don't take anything away from them. They played well. I know the Raiders have to be frustrated, obviously, and they probably feel a lot like we do, quite frankly. And And, we're trying to get better. They're trying to get better. We're trying to improve. Both teams are trying to win a game, and it's hard to do in this league, as we know. I just know that it's going to be a better team that we see, this Sunday.
Seeing Calvin a lot in the NFC, knowing him about a pre-draft, does that kind of help with the evaluation, knowing he hasn't played in 2 years?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, he's very talented, and great route runner, good speed, a good kid. Just all the things I can remember watching, even back then and now. And again, it's just, adding a really good, talented player to an already talented room.
What is it like balancing kind of, working with Trent and trying to find those players for now and in the future, and also, you're in the middle of the season, you're having a game plan and stuff like that?
I mean, it's, obviously you'd love to have a player, now sometimes, but that's not where we are, and we're always looking to improve and add that talent, where we can. And sometimes in this situation, you can't control you can't control the situation, right? The circumstances around the player. So we're just excited to have him and can't wait to get him here.
How much do you tweak practice this week, trying to recover a little bit from the travel?
A little bit. Today will be different. We'll slow some things down, do more walkthrough today, extended walkthrough this morning, and still try to get the players the mental reps they need today. Still want them to move around, though. It's a big day. You're a couple days removed from the game and the travel, and want them to, move around a little bit and still continue to flush the travel and the physicality from their system.
Apologies real quick for looking back again, but were any of the travel issues that you had with the coach and the players, were those troubling for you? Like that those weren't fixed at that time?
No, it wasn't. I mean, we, as an organization, as leaders here, we were all on the same page. We had a plan for it, so there were no issues that way.
It's a year and a half off, a big concern, or do you look at it like less 1 year and a half with less wear and tear on the body? For Ridley.
Yes.
Can you expand on more of a concern?
I don't think it's a concern. I mean, for the player, I think, you look at it as a possible fresh start, kind of rejuvenated, much like myself. Energy level will be high, a new team, coming back to Florida. All those things for the player are all positives, From playing, it's just a matter of once he is cleared by the league, getting him in here when we can and getting him caught up.
How do you know he's not 260?
I got to take people's word. I mean, got to trust some folks every now and then.
You don't have any concerns, though, with regards to the league clearing him, or not at this time?
I mean, obviously, I hope not. I hope that the league, clears him in due time, and obviously after the season. But we'll wait till that time.
There's also been some reports of, him kind of falling out of love with football, maybe some mental health struggles over the course of the last 2 years or so. I don't know if that came up at all during your research before the trade.
We're aware of all the circumstances surrounding, Calvin, and obviously very sensitive to, the mental health of all the players and making sure that everybody's really, taken well care of, and that's something that we'll continue to do with our current roster, obviously, and obviously when he gets in here. So we got a great team of people in place that are ready to embrace that.
Was vetting him sort of like vetting guys in free agency where you can't talk to them? You know what I mean? But you can talk to people around him. Is it sort of the same way?
Very similar. You try to get as much information, from folks maybe around his camp, and obviously dealings, and Trent can probably allude to it later, but talking to the Falcons and some of the coaches that work with them and things like that. Yeah.
When was it first brought to your attention, his name, his potential?
Oh my gosh.
Months ago, weeks ago?
I mean, these are conversations too. I think that you look at free agency back even in the spring when free agency hits. You're looking at everything, right? I mean, at that position, obviously his name was in the hat, in the bucket, back in the spring when we looked at free agency, yeah.
Can you talk about the thought process of training for him now as opposed to when he is reinstated next year?
Do we play the Raiders this week? I'm just wondering. I'm just wondering. I mean, we got a game on Sunday. We're talking about a player that won't be here hopefully for months,
Sure.
but.
It's an important question to ask just because of
Oh.
how everything's surrounding it.
I'm sorry, ask again.
The thought process of training for him now as opposed to when he is reinstated next year.
The thought process, training for him?
Trading.
Trading for him now.
Right.
Well, I mean, you're betting on the future, right? You're putting resources out there to get a top receiver caliber type player in this league, and obviously, again, it goes back to whenever he's reinstated, the second we can get him in here, it'll be no different than when we got Zay and Christian and all those guys this year. Just getting him the playbook, getting him caught up when the off-season program starts, and go from there.
How much, playing the Raiders in the Hall of Fame game, how much do you actually look back on it? See, I came back with the Raiders question, I got
Thank
your back.
you.
I got
Thank
your back,
you.
you know that, Doug. How much did, playing them in the Hall of Fame game, like, do you even look back at that tape?
Not much, because both teams are different. We didn't play a lot of guys; they didn't play a ton of guys, and so, it's different. So you don't really go back that much. You may a little bit, maybe look at the first quarter, but other than that, don't really pay attention to that.
Their running backs did have success in that game, and they've kind of been up and down over the last few weeks. I think Josh Jacobs' usage has kind of been all over the ballpark. How do you look at that room, and how do you prepare for them?
Yeah, I mean, it's that was one thing from that Hall of Fame game. I mean, they had the ability to run the ball, against us, and I think they got some really good running backs. Josh Jacobs, we know, is a powerful guy. He can run, and that's the key is obviously slowing the run down. And again, it just comes back to discipline up front for us, being in the right gaps and tackling these guys when we can.
Do you kind of feel like they might be going through some of the same thing you guys are in terms of guys in the system for the first year kind of getting adjusted and moving things around?
I think it's possible. Obviously, can't speak for that, but I think it can. There's probably some similarities, with what both organizations and teams are going through right now with some of that, and just kind of working through it all.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Doug.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
That was a quality.